It's all about the interaction. And my guess is, and tell me if I'm getting this wrong, is that when you and your husband met each other, it's kind of like when me and my wife met each other, that we walked away from the conversations feeling special because the other person told us we were special, not because they were special, but because they told us we were special.
So give me an example from your early, like how you guys met, how you first got together, first date kind of conversation.
Yeah, so we met in college, and I was studying intellectual history at Yale, and so I was super into like postmodernism, and I just babbled about postmodernism for like 10 minutes. And she said, she's the kindest woman on earth. She said, "That's really, really interesting. I've never heard that before, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'd like to learn more." Of course, she was just being nice. But as a result, I felt like the smartest person on the face of the planet. Like I felt like I was so special. And here's one of the things we know. So we know about when it comes to romantic relationships, particularly at the start of romantic relationships, there are two things you can do that is more powerful than anything else, and then a third thing that's really effective. The first thing you can do is ask questions. And some questions are more powerful than others. And these are known as deep questions. A deep question is something that asks us about our values or our beliefs or our experiences. And oftentimes, a deep question doesn't appear deep, right? If we're on a first date and I say, "What do you do for a living?" You say, "I'm a lawyer." And I say, "Oh, that's really interesting. Like, what made you decide to go to law school? Like, what's the best case you ever had?" Those questions are asking you to tell me about your experiences, the values that brought you to law school, the beliefs that you carry into your work. And when you answer those questions, you're going to tell me something incredibly valuable about yourself. You're going to tell me something meaningful. So the first step that we can do is teach ourselves not to ask about facts, but instead to ask essentially about feelings, about people's values and beliefs and their experiences.
I know this is something that I struggle with because I'm a curious person, and sometimes I let my questions run away with me. So I can sometimes be like, "Oh, tell me about this, and tell me about that, and tell me about this." And they're all factual things. And I'm generally interested and generally curious about what the person has to offer. But it stops the conversation from going any deeper. And so I think I need to ask more of these questions around people's motivations. I'd also do it in a way that gives a person space to answer. For example, if I were to say, "Oh, you chose law. Why would you do that?" It is essentially asking the question, but it's asking it in a way that is a little bit, it implies some judginess, I think. And I might not be being judgy, but I think it can be easily received as judgy. Whereas if I said, "Oh, interesting, law. Could you tell me a bit more about why you chose that?" I think it's similar to the difference between when you say to someone, "What do you mean?" versus, "Could you tell me a little bit more about what's behind that?" It's a few more words, but sometimes a few more words can make all the difference. When you're trying to establish rapport with someone in this world, it's all too difficult. And in my experience, it's establishing rapport with people is pretty hard. And so any help I can get, if it means having to spend a few extra words, I'm all for it.